share a hug. Come, let's pray together. Come, love and be loved. From the blissed out to the turned out, from the pampered to the abused, this door is open to you. Come on in, come on in, come on in, come on in. The God in us recognizes the God in you, the God in you. Whether you're black or white, gay or straight, Christian, Buddhist or Jew, this door is open to you.
All right. Good morning, Claremont Center for Spiritual Living. How are you this morning? Good. This is a little loud on the mic. Folks, we can go down a bit. Quiet on the music, loud on the mic. As long as we're not loud on my singing, we'll be good. Are we good? Okay, you can hear me? All right. Well, welcome. Glad to have everybody here. Still too quiet? No, we're good. All right. I'm Reverend Tracy. Delighted to have you here this morning with us. Not only here in this room, but also live streaming. So everybody wave to the people out there that are with us today. We know that in spirit there's no time or space or distance. There's only love. And that's what we come here to remember. That love will indeed heal all, and that we are simply expressions of that spiritual love, looking for ever greater ways to shine. So give yourself a little credit for getting here this morning and sharing this time with us. So we have our practitioner of the week is the infamous Brad Weathern, the man of many talents and the radio voice. Will be doing our opening invocation and a short reading to get us started. You will notice that the music corner is vacant this morning. I think this is maybe only the second time in 5 years that Jeff has not been well enough to come to the center on the Sunday morning. So we send him all kinds of good healing vibes and appreciate and thank him for not spreading his cooties in the building. Yes? Yes. I want to thank you all for continuing to wear your masks inside when we're all together. It's just one of the ways we take care of each other. You know, some of us are vaccinated, some not. Maybe we all are, but we all have other people in our lives that we come in contact with, that we care about, maybe kids that aren't vaccinated yet or our elders. So it is a good thing to do for now, and we will continue to follow the CDC guidelines as to what is best for our indoor gatherings. Now, I'm quite a ways away from you, and only when I'm up here do I not have my mask on, but otherwise I'll have it on when we're socializing afterwards. Also, if after service you step outside, masks are optional, up to you. All right, so thank you all for helping with that and for helping to keep our community safe. We have not had any instances of COVID spreading amongst us. We have had some people who've gotten sick, but we have not spread it from church. So this is a good thing. So we're doing really well, considering we're 20 months, 19 months into this event? Seems like forever, doesn't it? Yeah, a little bit longer. We're almost there. All right, well, let's start like we do with a little bit of centering. So I'm going to just invite you to clear your laps and clear your minds, close your eyes, and just listen to the sound of the bowl and let it take you deep within. Where there is that place in the heart that resonates with the love, with the harmonious tones of life coming together as one. A place where we know that all things are good and well and beautiful, and so are we.
Thank you, Reverend. Let's come together now in a moment of peace, in a moment of quiet, and let's know that there is one God in the universe, and we are an individual and undivided part of that one God. Let's know and recognize this now. Let's see it in our minds as our eyes are closed and we look heavenward. We know that God is all around us. We give thanks for being able to be here this morning, to meet with people that we know and love, and people that we know will carry their ideas and our ideas outward from this place, from this beautiful, sanctified place of the Claremont Center for Spiritual Living. Let's know that our word is carried outward, and let's give thanks for this day, this absolutely beautiful fall day. Not too cold, not too hot, and the sun is shining. What a wonderful, wonderful day we are about to have. Now let's know this in our minds, let's know this in spirit, let's give thanks, and you can whisper and say with me, and so it is. I was looking at something this morning, and it was interesting. It said that if 2 is company and 3 is a crowd, what is 4 and 5? 9. Thank you. Okay, we got a great comedian out there. The guy's always on top of it. Thank you, Harry. Okay, well, we have that happy thought. Let's think about, can you hear me? Yeah, oh yeah, she says. Yeah, here you, yeah, whoa, too much there, bro. Okay, let us think about happiness. Just think about that for a minute. Everyone deserves to be happy. Everyone strives toward happiness. Too few obtain it. Happiness is not a mental debauch. If one must become intellectually or emotionally intoxicated to be happy, then like one who has imbibed too much alcohol, he is bound sooner or later to sober up and must again plunge himself into an unnatural state to revive his happiness. Happiness must come from a deeper wellspring of being. Permanent happiness comes from a quiet contentment and an inner sense of certainty, which cannot be shaken by outside conditions, whether good or ill. The mind must reach a place where it no longer remembers the past with anxiety or looks into the future with uncertainty. If you believe in divine goodness, the loving kindness and givingness of God, if you believe in your own soul as immortal, forever expanding, then no matter what situation confronts you, you can be happy. Say with me silently as I say, I have a calm inward conviction of my union with good, and my oneness with God. I'm called Brad Weathern, and this is Ernest Holmes. Thank you.
All right. I'm going to be happy. You want to be happy? Happy's good. Yeah, there you go. Happy is good. All right, so let's light a candle. We're on a new month, and our theme this month is a kinder world. Talking about a kinder world this month, I decided that going into the holiday season, you know, generally that's fun, that's positive, things to look forward to. Last year turned it all on its head, of course, because we had to rearrange how we came together and how we celebrated or didn't celebrate. And this year we're sort of still in the in-between. And because we're all coming out of this year of drama and trauma, honestly, we're all still kind of recovering from that. And just like someone who's been ill for a long time or had a traumatic event in their life or great loss, we might emotionally be a little rocky. And the way that seems to show up is that people are not always as nice as they could be. You know, we're not always willing to hear another opinion without getting all fired up. We're not always able to have a conversation and give people a little room because they're just downright crabby, you know? And it's hard to be our friendly, sunny self sometimes when it seems like there's a lot of polarization, a lot of conflict, a lot of headbutting going on. So it seems like a good time to choose to focus on kindness. And that kindness is simply a form of love, right? We talk all the time about the love that we are. The energy of life is one that wants to give and nurture and support. Our best experiences are when we are with people or with family or in circumstances that seem to lift us up, make things greater, give us room to be our true selves, have fun, discover something new. You know, the energizing side of life happens when we make connection with each other. And a lot of times, in this particular environment we are in right now, a lot of times that sense of community and togetherness just isn't always easy. You know, it's better than it was, but we're still healing. And so we know that what we give our attention to grows, and so we're going to talk this week about kindness and build on it all month long. Now, in the midst of polarization and political arguments and the upcoming Thanksgiving table discussions with your strange relatives that you see once or twice a year, or should I say tolerate once or twice a year? Am I the only one that has a relative like that? Oh, okay. All right, just checking. What's true is that we can choose how we respond to whatever gets thrown out there in the middle of the conversation, right? And I'm offering that we choose kindness. Albert Schweitzer said that constant kindness can accomplish much. As the sun makes the ice melt, kindness causes misunderstanding, mistrust, and hostility to evaporate. To evaporate. Have you ever had that experience where somebody wants to pick a fight and you don't fight back? They get so mad because you're not arguing, or you're walking away, or you're just, isn't that interesting? And you're not engaging. And yet sometimes that is the kindest thing that you can do, to take care of yourself, to not get all riled up about something, and to allow that person to spout whatever they spout, and that's theirs. And you do not have to engage or fight or push back. You have a choice. You have a choice. But the way we deal with something that sort of comes at us, right? You know, the news comes at us. Somebody in the coffee shop is having a loud conversation on opinions that are not your own, you know, or telling you, somebody who gets in your face and tells you how the world really is, right? Love those factual people. This is the way it is. Like, for you, maybe, right? So bottom line is we have our own perception. We have our own lane that we're in. We're all on our own spiritual path. And so each of us comes to terms with who we are in the world. And a lot of times who we are in the world creates the actual world that we're in. Right? Now, we are governed, shaped, informed by the culture that we grow up in, the family we were raised in, the beliefs that we used to have and the ones that we have now, the new people that we meet, or the new idea that catches our interest. All of these things continue to work us. But truly, we are the source of our own life. And we choose where to engage, where to be curious, when to get involved, when to step back. This is what we mean by having dominion. We are the ones who allow in or open up to or close the door to all of the options, those infinite possibilities that are out there in life. And that's a good thing as long as we come from love. As long as we see with eyes that look for the good. Because then we don't restrict ourselves. We don't limit what's possible in our lives. We are open to the possibilities. And we respond to others by showing them that love is what is good for all of us. That's what we're really called to do. Jean Houston says that we have an opportunity to choose surrendering to the fear. Because most anger, most arguments, most conflict comes from someone's fear of losing something, right? We fight to keep what we think we need to have or that's ours. And we think it's ours or yours. It's either or. And so that's where most of our conflict comes from. And we can choose to surrender to that fear, or we can show the world what it means to be thoughtful, to be generous, to be proactive in helping friends or strangers alike. And what I know about the people in this room, and those of you in the virtual room, is that we choose to help friends and strangers alike. We look at life as an opportunity to be our best selves, to show up. If anyone raised their hand and said that they needed help with something, there would be a response of support in this particular circle of love and friendship, yes? And even if the person who raised their hand had never been here before, I'm pretty sure that the same circle of support would show up, because we don't have to know someone to be loving. We're not dependent on what's out here to know what's in here. The world's always going to be in flux, which means we are always at choice of how we respond to it. So let's choose kindness. Let's choose to respond with kindness. There is actually scientific benefits to being kind. People who are constantly kind produce 23% less cortisol, which is the stress hormone. Because of the lower levels of stress, these people who practice kindness age slower than the average population. So you want to live longer? Be kind. It's not to say there aren't some very old, very ornery people. However, you choose. I'll go for the kindness. The other thing it does is it lowers our blood pressure. Being kind is a form of emotional warmth. And that emotional warmth releases the hormone oxytocin, which dilates the blood vessels and therefore lowers your blood pressure. How many of you need to lower your blood pressure occasionally? Kindness is contagious. Masks don't protect you from kindness. Researchers from Stanford Social Neuroscience Laboratory found that when people see someone else being kind, they are more likely to act kindly towards others themselves. That means that anyone can change the world from right where they are simply by being kind. And you know, when you are feeling well loved and supported, how easy it is to offer that to others, yes? However, there are days when you need to go first. I live next to a high school. Now, for a whole year, there were no high school students walking back and forth in front of our driveway to our complex. Well, they're back this year, and we talk about it as, we call it the salmon are swimming, because they tend to move in a pack. Teenagers do, they move in a pack, and they're pretty oblivious to things like driveways and cars and turn signals, and they just right over their heads. Well, when I walk the dog in the morning, there's always a few going to school early. And if I do not smile and say hello, they don't either, right? What does a 14-year-old boy do when you walk by him on the sidewalk? Or, right? So sometimes you have to go first. Sometimes you have to be the one to smile. Sometimes you have to be the one to say hello. Sometimes, when you see that barista behind the counter or the server in the restaurant, and you can tell they're pushed and hurried and harried and just stressed, you need to ask them how they're doing rather than waiting for them to ask you how you're doing. Yes? We can do that. We can do that. It doesn't take big things to change the world. It doesn't take huge dramatic propositions or projects. I mean, there are great humanitarian efforts that make major changes across continents. But if your neighbor isn't social or has no social skills, there's no peace in your corner of the world if you bark at each other all the time. The peace in the world is right here in our yard, in our room, in our relationships, in our ways in which we treat ourselves. How many of you talk just as nicely to yourself as you do to your best friend? Okay, we got a couple. All right. It's so evolved here. It's just an amazing place. But really, truly, I mean, sure, on some days I'm really good. Hey, need a little self-care, got to step back, take good care. I'll come back tomorrow and I'll be ready to go. That's great. And then there are those other conversations. Yeah, the one that says, oh my God, I forgot to get gas and I didn't do that, and I'm supposed to be over here and I'm not over there. It's like, what is wrong with me? Okay, bad question. Not nice. You're not setting yourself up for love and encouragement and compassion and kindness and moving forward. So what's the point? We all know that trauma heals best in a supportive environment. I am restored with kindness and love. And if I'm not around some of you to offer it to me freely, I need to be able to find it for myself. I need to be able to remind myself exactly why it's important to be kind. I led a workshop yesterday at another center. Their leadership team is getting together. They've just started meeting back in person in the sanctuary, and everybody's been kind of scattered, and people have left, and some new people have come in, and it's kind of a big upheaval. And we were in a circle, we were having a conversation, and a couple people got triggered on a topic. And so they shared what they were feeling in a very impassioned way. First person said something. Second person kind of chimed in and, yeah. And the person who was feeling it most personally responded about why what they were saying no to was so important to them. And they had their say. Nobody interrupted. They had their say. And then the second person started to respond to that third person. And Reverend Catherine stepped in and she said, stop. We're going to change the way we do this. Everyone has room to have their own view and opinion and perspective on something. Therefore, you may say what you believe, what you think, what's important to you into the circle, but not to or at anyone. So you speak your truth, speak your feeling, state your opinion as your own, and then if someone else would like to state their perspective on the same topic, they would speak into the circle. Someone else would speak into the circle. And we did that for a while. Everyone was heard. Everyone got to say what they needed to say. No one got to contradict, argue, try to convince, fix, any of that stuff that we normally want to do, right? What do we want to do? We want to make peace. We want to make nice. We want to make sure everybody feels good. We want to try to smooth it over. But when we're talking about real life, when we're talking about things close to people's hearts, then we all deserve an opportunity to have our say, to be authentic. There's room for all of us. So what happened was fairly magical in this circle. Once everybody said what they needed to say, the solution or resolution, it wasn't a fix, it wasn't a change, it wasn't a healing thing per se. It was an invitation to take what had been said in the circle into your heart, take it home with you, do a little prayer work around it, find your truth in your heart, not your head. And we'll revisit this topic again so that we might continue the conversation. Now, after we broke up at the end of the day, what I saw were those three people who had originally engaged, who were most passionate about the issue, talking to each other one-on-one, saying, I love you, saying, of course I respect you, saying to each other, there isn't anything you could do that would make me love you less. And hearing one person speak from his heart and say that, I just didn't realize how important it was to you, and now I do. That's a huge shift. That is, for me, an illustration that listening is probably the greatest kindness we can extend to each other. Listening just to witness. Not to solve, not to offer advice, unless asked, but simply to witness. We all crave being seen and heard. So I want you to take a second and take a risk and actually look at your neighbor. Make eye contact with someone in the room. Make eye contact. Don't forget the folks in the back row. Maybe look at the camera, see the folks on camera. They're there, I know they are. Yeah. So kindness isn't about being nice. It's not making it all better. It's not putting a bow on it. It's coming from love. It's coming from curiosity. I really want to know how you got there. People come up with some very interesting statements of belief. Not mine. But I don't have to make them wrong. They may never be my beliefs. But I can hear somebody out. And sometimes just making space is enough. The volume goes way down, right? Volume goes way down. What happens is we have mutual respect for each other, which means we can also have mutual respect for our differing opinions without having to change anybody. I think my favorite example of that is Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Anthony Scalia, two Supreme Court justices. They were polar opposites when it came to how they ruled on cases sometimes. And they were great friends. Great friends. They went to the opera together. They had dinner together. They had respect for each other. They had respect for the legal minds that the other one had. And they respected the fact that there were different ways of looking at the same situation and not necessarily right and wrong ways. Right? So Science of Mind tells us that, our words are important. Our word has power, meaning claiming and speaking our good, affirming our alignment with Spirit. All of these things are the power of our lives, but also the actual words we use. Lao Tzu says, kind words elicit trust. Kind thoughts create depth. Kind deeds bring love. So just like you learned when you were kids, there's no name calling allowed. No matter what conspiracy theory is being presented to you. No name calling. And just like your therapist taught you, those many years ago, if you make I statements, the conversation will last a lot longer rather than you statements. So telling somebody that their idea is ridiculous is probably not the best way to stay in a place of love and kindness. However, nobody says you have to stand and take abuse if someone is toxic. Now, you may be willing to hear someone out, and then they may not be willing to hear you out. That's okay. You plant the seed of kindness. You listen. You say, oh, that's interesting. Reverend Michael Beckwith at Agape he called them Cheerios. People say things that are just like, whew, way not my life. And you just go, oh. And then they say something else, and you go, oh. Oh. In other words, I hear you. I see you. I'm not going there, but I hear you, and I see you, and the ideas are your own. Okay. There's room for that. You know what? They get too close. They get too loud. If they revert to name calling in my direction, then I can bless them on their way. I can remember they're on a spiritual path. So am I. Love and blessings to you, and I can just take myself right on out of there. Kind for me, kind for them. Your kindness plants a seed always. So here's what we're going to do this month, my friends. We are going to shine a light of kindness. When you leave today, there's a little card out front. Mickey will have some, Jerry will have some. On one side, it says kindness offered. On the other side, it says kindness received. So how you are kind and how people are kind to you. And it has a day of the week, a line after every day of the week, Sunday through Saturday. And we're going to do this for 21 days. What's the magic of 21 days? Creates a new habit. And so this habit that we are creating is to be consciously aware of kindness every single day. So the idea is halfway through the day, at the end of the day, you think back on how it's been, and on like whatever happens today that you did for someone else. Maybe it's a smile. Maybe you painted their garage. You know, big, small, it doesn't matter. Kindness that you extended to someone else, make a note. And on the other side, think about who offered you a kindness. Make a note. Every day for 21 days. So each week you'll get a new card. Now, those of you that are not here, obviously you can't have this particular card. But everybody has one of these on their fridge, right? The little magnet on the back that you do your shopping list on. Perfect size. Perfect size. Mine says moo at the top because, you know, I have a farm girl at home. Write the day of the week and make two pages, one for offered and one for received. Are you in? Can you see how this might actually be fun? And then what would be really great is if you bring these with you each week. Or if you've got something marvelous that happens during the week, will you send me an email? Will you let me know? Will you tell me your stories of what you notice when you do this consciously? Because if you tell me your stories, or we collect this little list of the kinds of things we start to notice that maybe we didn't notice before, we're going to build that consciousness as a community also. And if your kindnesses combine with your neighbor's kindnesses, then we as a spiritual community will also be taking that out into the world. Because, again, our kindness is a light. The more we extend it, the brighter it becomes, and the more darkness we illuminate. And that's what we're here to do, right? We are here to love and be loved. So for this holiday season, we're going to kick it off in November, 3 weeks, paying attention every day. The kindness received and the kindness extended. I really think that, as we know, what we give our attention to grows. And I really think that right here in this room, there is a lot of power, a lot of light, a lot of energy to be spread around. You do it every day anyway. Let's just consciously make it kind, and we'll work towards a kinder world together. Yes. Namaste. If you will, join me in prayer. I'm going to start my prayer with a quote from Henry James. Taking that deep breath and remembering that 3 things in human life are important. The first is to be kind. The second is to be kind. And the third is to be kind. For there is a love that is the one power and energy of all that is. This oneness of which we are all a part. This spiritual life that some call God or nature or the universe or simply life itself. It is truly love in motion. And we are that. That power of life is in us, coursing through our veins, spinning our minds, opening our hearts, allowing us to give and receive again with each other, with spirit, with our innermost self. For love is truly all there is. And when it appears in the world that there is no love, then we choose to bring it. For I know that the spirit within me is light, is love, is joy, is power. And I show up from that center of all love. And as this is true for me, it is true for everyone, that we each can choose to be that powerful expression of all that is good in any situation, bringing the light into any dark room, standing strong in the truth that we know, so that the world might heal. For as I give, I also receive. As I show up as peace, as compassion, as kindness, I experience that peace and compassion and kindness in my own life. For the nature of the universe is reciprocal. And so for every smile extended, there is one received. For every hand outreached, there is another hand taken. Every time I am able to lift myself up in consciousness, those around me are lifted as well. I'm grateful. Grateful for the gifts of spirit. Grateful for the ability to be a heart space in this very chaotic world. Grateful to see the divine in the eyes of everyone I meet, regardless of their behavior. For truly within we are all one. Truly within it is love in action, disguised sometimes as fear or anger or ego. Beneath it all is the ocean of love that we are. And so in great gratitude, I simply allow life to unfold as it will, perfectly, in divine right order, relationship by relationship, heart to heart, conversation by conversation, all spirit infused. I choose to see spirit in all things. And it is good and very good, for it is God, and so it is. All right. So we have an affirmation. It's in your bulletin. I'll read it through the first time. I'll read the whole thing, and then I invite you all to say it together afterwards. Today I choose to be kind. I am creating a kinder world, and so it is, if you will. Today I choose to be kind. I am creating a kinder world, and so it is. Okay. Let's see. We have a couple of announcements. We are still looking for a few people to help with the counting team. Right now the counting team is Graham. Graham would like some help. You all want to help, remember? Didn't we just talk about that? All right, so one Sunday a month, maybe you can take your little prosperous self over to Graham and help us out in the counting room after service or during the week, whatever works with your schedule. We'd love to have your help with that. And then we are still looking for some type of media manager that's going to help us keep all of our media postings up to date. We have folks that actually do the posting stuff. Jeff takes care of our website. Sean helps with Facebook. But we do have a lot of room for someone to help us keep the announcements current, post the new events, take down the old events, and just sort of make sure that we're showing up in the world the way we really are and not the way we were like 6 months ago. Okay? So if that's something that you would like to be involved with, if that's something that you have shall we say, some kind of tech wizard type person in your life that you go to for all your iPhone questions and they need something to do for a couple hours a week, we'd love to talk to them. All right? And then, of course, next week we have a party. Are you coming? Did you sign up so we can feed you? Shelley indicated there might be scraps left over. If you didn't sign up, we could probably feed you something, but it's better if we know how many people are coming. It is the 5-year anniversary of me showing up here. Actually, you kind of called me here, yeah. I thank you for making a space. And this has just been, part of me thinks it's gone by really fast, and part of me feels like it's just been home forever. So I am delighted to celebrate with you. I'm delighted to have a safe social event. We will be in Holmes Hall. We will be eating. We will ask you to be conscious of your masking, non-masking, closeness with conversation, etc., so that, again, we keep everybody safe. But, you know, seems like to me, anyway, any social event is a good event right now. Yes, okay. All right, so just a reminder now, you're going to get your little cards on the way out. So, and we have, of course, our contributions. You know, it's tricky because we're not really passing the baskets yet, so I tend to forget because usually the ushers just start walking up here and reminds me to tell you, here we go. But what I know is that you are continuing to contribute, and we are grateful. We have the same maintenance costs that we have always had. We have done really well during the pandemic, and we have, as you can see, kept the lights on. We've been able to get some new equipment. We're doing a little landscaping stuff out there, and it's you that makes that possible. You're the ones that make this place beautiful inside and out. So thank you for your contributions. Those of you online, you can donate on our website, or you can, there's a donate button in our e-blast, our weekly newsletter, if you're getting that. So do continue to do what you do so that we can keep doing what we do here. So if you will, you can say our prosperity affirmation with me. It's in your program as well. And together, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am prosperous now, and yes, we are. Okay, so let's stand up. Let's move out into a circle. Remember, we're not really holding hands yet, but you can certainly flash a dance move across the circle to your friend on the other side, and we'll rock out to a little Eddie Watkins Jr.
Take a look at the person next to you and say, God loves you and I love you too. Now feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together, 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 we come together. In the name of love, we come together, 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 we come together. In the name of love. Now look at the person next to you. Say, I recognize the God in you. the sanctuary. Now lift your voice and repeat after me.